I am Mary Thingvall. I'm a community builder.
Hey, this is Jason Hand, and I am a DevOps evangelist and community builder. And Mary and I have decided to organize a little podcast here to talk about all kinds of things related to building communities, specifically within the tech scene or within the tech industry. But we'll certainly be leveraging some resources and pulling in some information from those outside of the tech industry, just because there's a lot of really awesome communities out there. We know that there's a lot of great ideas that we can hopefully share with those that follow this show, but also others who are just kind of interested in learning new ways and how people are going about building great communities. So this is our very first episode, our very first recording. So Mary and I are just kind of wanted to lay out the agenda of introducing you to us. So I'll let Mary sort of talk just a little bit more about who she is, where she's been previously, what type of stuff she's been working on, and then I'll do the same, and we'll kind of go from there. So Mary?
Hey, so like I said, I'm a community builder. I am based normally in San Francisco, but I spend part of my time on the East Coast in New York as well. I got involved in community and in community building a few years back. My background is in PR and marketing, and I felt a need to start interacting more with our audience. There was a lot of talking to our audience through press releases and social media and things like that. I was working at O'Reilly Media at the time and ended up going to our CEO and talking to her about some opportunities to get some feedback from the community and make sure that the areas that we were going into, the topics we were pursuing, were interesting to our community and things that they were really excited about. So I kind of took that on and started building that role. From there, I moved to Chef software and did that for a little while with the open source crowd there, as well as with our enterprise customers. And right now, I'm pursuing some different roles and looking at some different options and enjoying being a part of the community.
Cool. Yeah. And just a little bit about me. I currently work at VictorOps, which is a software as a service platform type of thing for mostly SRE types, system reliability engineers and on-call specialists and people that sort of maintain infrastructure for their companies. And my role as the DevOps evangelist is essentially to help build up our community for our customers, but also kind of engage internally with everyone on our team and just make sure that we're communicating really well and we're also working together really well and we understand what's going on inside and out. Being able to connect our customers with those that are actually building our software. And so as a result of that, I spend a lot of time going to different events, a lot of tech conferences and meetups. I usually accept any speaking opportunities I get to go out and talk about DevOps and also things that are related to building community. And during the last year and a half or so, I've been to quite a few different events, and Mary and I started crossing paths quite often, actually, at a number of different sort of, I guess, web operations types of events, and sharing a lot of ideas back and forth. We're also both part of this Slack group, which is growing in membership all the time, and it was really cool to be a part of that with several people right up front. And so it's been really nice to be able to kind of connect with Mary both online and offline, and just share different ideas and different thoughts about how we can build really great communities. Both within the tech scene, but also within our companies as well. And I think it was at this past year's ChefConf that we finally, I guess, pinned each other down and said, hey, you know, this, I've got to, I think actually I came to Mary and said, hey, I've got this idea about maybe doing a podcast on this stuff because I'm really starting to get into it. And unfortunately, I'm not able to find a ton of great resources. There's certainly books, and I've read my share of books on it. There's lots of great blog posts. There's a couple different hangouts and different things for sure. But I tend to these days consume a lot of my information, a lot of my learning through podcasts. And so I kind of had this interest in listening to podcasts on the subject. And because I wasn't finding anything, I approached Mary about possibly doing this show. And So her and Ember and I kind of found a little quiet corner at the Santa Clara Conference Center to hash out early plans on kicking this thing off. And finally, we're to the point where we're actually ready to do this. So we've got several really great guests that we're looking forward to interviewing soon. And the very first guest that we're going to have on here on our show is Jono Bacon, which for those of you who are not familiar with him, he's the author of The Art of Community. And he also puts on the Community Leadership Summit, which this most recent one was out in Portland. Again, Mary and I attended that.
And if you aren't familiar with Jono, I'm really excited about talking to him. I've known him for a few years now, and actually worked with him on publicizing The Art of Community when it first came out. And as Jason mentioned, if you're not familiar with myself, I travel with a service dog named Ember. And our running joke for a long time between Jono and myself was that he always came over to see me just because of Ember, not because of me, which happens more often than you would think, but it works. So I'm looking forward to talking to him.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking to him as well. He's great. We met for the first time at the Community Leadership Summit this year, and then I stuck around that week for OzCon and attended one of his workshops on building community, and took back with me a lot of great ideas, a lot of great tips, and I'm fired up about not only this podcast, but some of the other community things that I kind of have in the pipeline as it relates to VictorOps and my day-to-day responsibilities there. So that's got a little bit of the both of us, and of course you'll learn more as we get this show kind of going down the road. And certainly because we don't have a guest on this episode, this one's going to be a bit short. Mostly just wanted to introduce ourselves to you and let you know how you can reach out and contact us. I'm pretty active on Twitter. You can follow me at Jason Hand. Mary?
You can follow me at Mary_Grace.
And we've got a site that we're in the process of getting stood up and ready. And once it's all set to go, you'll be able to find that at communitypulse.io. Speaking of which, the title of this podcast is Community Pulse, which was actually suggested by someone we met named
Jason Hibbett.
Yeah, Jason Hibbett. We were all at the Community Leadership Summit, and so thank you, Jason, for this wonderful title of our show. We owe you a beer or something for sure.
Definitely.
So yeah, with that, I think I don't know, Mary, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Sure. I guess just along the names of the title, it might be a little obvious why we chose it and why Jason came up with it, but just thinking along the lines of, a lot of times the community managers, the evangelists, people like us in these types of roles have a pulse on the community. We know what's going on. We're able to take that information back to whatever company that we're working with and communicate that back to the product team. And so the idea is kind of just that we're talking to the people who are involved in the communities who have an eye on that pulse, who know what's going on and can keep us up to date on those things. But speaking to them and understanding how they keep going and what keeps them motivated and keeps them driving forward.
Yeah, exactly. And just to sort of add to that, in addition to having, sort of a pulse on what's going on within your company and within your communities, I think many of us just sort of have a really good idea of what's going on in our industry in general. And so we just sort of want to kind of, echo that or amplify that in whatever way we can. And so our intent is to bring on those within the community, community, I guess, that are doing this type of stuff, those who we can leverage as experts sort of in this area. And so we're going to hopefully be continuously bringing on really great guests that have some awesome ideas, some awesome stories to share, some great tools and resources, hopefully, that they'll be sharing with us as well. And, I guess the point is all of us can find something to learn from others for sure. There's lots of people out there that are doing some really great things and experts in their field, for sure. But there's also a lot that we could all be learning from each other. And so that's sort of the intent of this, is that we can bring together a lot of experts and a lot of people who are doing some really amazing things, and have them share that information, that knowledge with not only Mary and I, because these are things that we'd like to learn about, but hopefully you as our listener as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, and so I think with that, that's kind of the main thing we wanted to share today. Although we do have a couple of events that we thought we would at least share with you. Some upcoming community-related types of events and conferences. So I don't know, Mary, do you want to list off a couple of those?
Sure. So one that I'm excited about that's coming up pretty quickly is CMX Summit. And we're hopefully going to be speaking with Carrie Jones and David Spinks from CMX within the next couple episodes. But this is an opportunity for community managers to come together. They've got a fantastic lineup of people, and it's in San Francisco on October 15th. The next one is the Chef Community Summit, and that's up in Seattle. And I actually think that overlaps with CMX Summit. But if you're involved with Chef in any way, or you have some experience in that, it's a great opportunity to meet with other people within the community and connect with them there.
Yeah, and some of the other ones that are going on now, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it to any of these. My next 2 months are pretty hectic with travel and events related to VictorOps, but hopefully even at those events, I'll be able to connect with a lot of different community people. But some other things that we wanted to share with you, as Mary mentioned, there's the CMX Summit and the Chef Community Summit coming up. I'd also encourage you to check out the Community Leadership Forum. This is something that's closely tied to Jono's Community Leadership Summit that he had back in, I forget the month, June, I guess, June or July in Portland. But that's where a lot of great ideas are being shared just regarding similar things that we're going to be discussing. And then there's also this Slack group, and actually Mary's one of the admins for our Slack group. So Mary, I'll let you kind of explain a little bit more about that and how people can either check that out or request access to be a part of that.
Sure. So this started, there was a group of us that kind of just wanted a space to be able to talk to each other, share some ideas, share things that we were involved with, projects that we were working on, and not, obviously company trade secrets and things like that, but just an idea of, we're trying to solve a lot of the same problems. We're working together on a lot of the similar areas with either similar people or just trying to get similar audiences and things like that together. And it grew from, I don't know, maybe a dozen of us to, I think there's over 200 of us on there now, which is pretty incredible. And topics range from travel to the best conferences to attend, to how to get more people at your meetups and everything in between. So if you're interested in joining, you can go to evangelistcollective.github.io. And there's a request an invite thing towards the bottom of the page there.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I've been a part of this from the get-go, and it's been a huge resource. If for no other reason, travel is a very big part of our role as evangelists and advocates and community managers. We're constantly on the road, and it's really great to be able to connect with others. Even just go and grab coffee or grab a beer or something. It's really cool to have these conversations within a forum or within something like a Slack group, and bounce ideas off of each other and get feedback on blog posts and just different ideas that you have. But then it's really cool to actually kind of meet each other in real life and kind of put a real face to the name and to the interactions you have. So if this is a role that you're in, I highly encourage you to check that out and be a part of that conversation. It's been a huge resource for me and something that I highly recommend.
Absolutely. And just echoing what Jason just said, it's been a great place to meet people and create new friendships and connect with people that you don't typically get to know because you're talking so often with the engineers and the developers, and to be able to connect with people who are doing similar jobs as you are is huge.
Yeah. And then we've got one more thing. Actually, I don't know a ton about this DevRelCon, so maybe I'll let you kind of take that one as well.
Sure. So DevRelCon is happening September 30th in London. And for those of you who are based in that area, it's looking like it's going to be fantastic. Unfortunately, I won't be able to be there either. But it's got a great lineup, and it's an opportunity for basically anyone who's working in developer relations, no matter what your title is. So technical evangelist, developer advocate, any of those types of things. And again, it's September 30th, so one-day conference. It's held in London this year, and from what I've heard, it's going to be awesome. So I'm hoping to catch some of the videos and things on the back end.
Cool. Well, those are the things that we know about as of the moment. But for sure, if you know of some other events that you think others should check out, you can reach out to us both at, well, on Twitter is probably the best way for now. But send something to @JasonHand or @MaryGrace_Grace, I'm sorry. And we can add that to the show notes for this episode, but also put something on our website so people have a quick and easy way. A quick and easy way to view and access all that stuff. I think that's pretty much all we wanted to really cover in this episode. Like I said, we just really wanted to kind of kick things off and do a quick intro and let you know who we are, where we're coming from, and what this show is about. I, for one, am extremely excited to get this thing going. I've been talking about this, or we've been talking about this for, it seems like forever. I guess it's probably been like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 months now.
Few months, yeah.
Yeah, and it's what's odd is that we're just getting into the busiest part of conference season and the busiest part of my travel schedule coming up. But I think it's going to work out well, and I think everything's going to be good. So I'm really excited for our guests that are coming up, and hopefully we'll get some great feedback from our listeners. We'll continue having awesome topics and guests on the show, and we'll keep this thing going and make it a really great resource for those who are trying to build communities within tech. So, Mary, you got anything else before we sign off?
No, I think we're good. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks again. And yeah, stay tuned for more episodes of the Community Pulse.